50 years ago, our government drove the innovation that inspired the world and put Americans on the moon. Today, many of our agencies rely on painfully outdated technology.
The big news is Antarctica, and that does play into Trump at the moment. The plan that Donald Trump has is to release alien technology, but they're not calling it alien technology. It's known as exotic technology. That's what it's
The government wants people to start having Antarctica on the mind. They're referring to a possible announcement that there has been a ancient civilization found under the ice. They created bases all over Antarctica.
What is going on in Antarctica?
Favorite subject. Antarctica has been and I mean this, people have got to understand that Antarctica was, even in the 1500s,
William Tompkins' remarkable testimony about his work for U.S. Navy intelligence during the Second World War. Tompkins' astonishing claim that the Nazis were receiving assistance from an extraterrestrial race described as reptilians.
U.S. Navy's secret space program and Nordic Extraterrestrial Alliance. Will Trump disclose Antarctica discoveries to start a new economic boom? We might be dealing with more than one globe.
We have had breakthroughs in technology kept away from the public. Most people don't know that in the 1920s, T. Townsend Brown was doing experiments with high voltage systems where you could have a crystalline structure.
There are orbs. Some are orange, some are white, some are green, some are blue. These orbs can range in size from a ping pong ball to a basketball and even the size of an automobile.
Flying saucers from other worlds are visiting our planet, just as we are exploring outer space with our own rocket satellite. Our guest is former Marine Air Corps Major Donald Keyhoe, who has the support of scores of prominent businessmen, military men, and some scientists.
And he wants to release some of this hidden technology to the corporations so that they can get going very quickly on driving America forward.
They found all of these ancient ruins, which part of the ruins they were able to, I guess, cannibalize for their own uses and created bases there, and have ever since been looking through the remnants of this ancient civilization.
The amount of information of ancient civilizations and ancient energy forces in Antarctica were enough to drag the most powerful people in the world down there, or beckon them, from the Pope to Kirill, the Russian Patriarch.
Reptilians who were acting as consultants in various German aerospace projects. The reptilians helped the Nazis locate large caverns in Antarctica, which would be used as bases for the Nazis' most advanced aerospace programs.
Crystalline structure, and with the correct electronic signal going into it, have that object levitate. Sounds familiar? Like a UFO? 1920s. This was reproduced in Germany in the Koloski-Frost experiment.
Bill Tompkins' father was one of the original heavyweight players in Hollywood motion picture development.
We're living in Hollywood, our cousin's backyard, and we dig holes. We dig tunnels. We dig them down horizontal.
In his campaign to prove that flying saucers exist. If you're curious to know why Major Keyhoe charges that the United States Air Force is deliberately deluding us when it calls saucer stories the bunk.
The reason that he feels he's in a position to do that is because, as people will know, there's been a lot of activity in Antarctica. There's going to be a release of very ancient technology.
They're saying that there's significant information about Trump and his administration right now to disclose the truth about technologies, evidence of secret memorandum issued by Trump.
Vladimir Putin, we've got obviously John Kerry went down there. Obama did go down there, although it wasn't announced. Pope, something's going down there. The energy forces that you are now seeing experienced in the waveforms coming out of Antarctica.
They were being assisted by reptilian consultants. According to Tompkins, the U.S. Navy learned from spies embedded in Nazi Germany that the Nazis used these hidden Antarctic bases to launch space missions to the moon, other planets in our solar system, and most remarkably,
transhumanism, extended life, these type of augmented reality homes, smart homes, and things of this nature are something that Trump's going to have to deal with.
A civilization on Earth that is dying because it has been strangled to death. We are 100 years of lost evolution and of lost development as a people. And this is our chance to get it back.
As many as 10 or 12.
Are these humanoid looking, walking with arms and legs?
Yes. They look sort of like rabbits without ears. Okay. So yes, they jump and sometimes they float.
If you want to hear his own evidence that the saucers are real, and his reaction to the claim of 2 Americans who say they've spoken with men from Venus.
A list of about 800 witnesses, some of the big names in aviation, including up to the rank of colonel in the Air Force.
The concept of that technology has not been appreciated on the planet, and that is going to be released to the American government very soon. That means that the exotic technologies that the Americans already hold, in comparison, will be outdated.
We must declassify secret patents involving health and free energy technologies.
He received pushback from the civilian intelligence community and the DoD, stating that, sure, we will get right on that, but it'll take about 10 years.
Look at what's happening to Europe, their weather, their temperatures. You're seeing world record lows. You're seeing absolute storms, and you can literally watch it's like if somebody turned on a transmitter that's been dormant for all these years.
They found all of this equipment. They found the program for extended life. That wasn't really an extended life. It was a life program that the extraterrestrials were already doing.
There's kind of different layers of secrecy concerning these technologies. These are things that people are quite aware of. I think that, that deeper layer of secrecy, this is the one that I think Trump is going to really make some big changes in.
After you have 500,000 or 1 million cases that are in the UFO reporting system, we have enough evidence. A taste of the evidence that's compelling, all from government sources, military witnesses, government witnesses, documents, etc.
HAARP has the ability to put an energetic shield around the planet. There are more and more efforts to manipulate the atmosphere, the sea in which we live. If you want to affect all the fish, what you do, you affect the sea.
Researchers using Google Maps discovered what appeared to be a huge undersea entrance to the US landmass nearly 7 miles off the coast of Malibu. The size of the overall structure is massive. The plateau over the entrance is approximately 1.4 miles.
There's 2 kinds of places on the Earth. There are continents, which stand high because they're made out of light materials. And then there are the oceans, which sit low in basins because they're made out of rocks that are more dense.
When I started joined HAARP, when I helped put up the towers at the Tacoma, it was put up with the idea we were doing it for an oil company. We were putting it up there for what they called tomography.
Earthquakes are hitting everywhere. Earthquake hit Washington, D.C. About 13 hours after the oil well in the Gulf was capped, and the sea floor is now seepage. It's happening. It's bleeding.
This is atypical. This is never, how many times have you seen this? Okay. That is HAARP. Okay. They are making these severe tornadoes.
The CIA thought they could create a lot of potentials, and they were looking at 2 sort of sides of the equation. They were looking at enhancing human potentials, as well as, what could you learn about how to degrade a human being, by manipulating the brain or behavior itself.
This is not natural. This is man-made high pressure in the jet stream caused by the ionospheric heater, formerly known as HAARP.
Moving on to other ways of managing the ionosphere, which the HAARP was really designed to do, was to inject energy into the ionosphere, be able to actually control it. But that work has been completed.
Then you see these bands of very distinct cloud cover moving into the region. That is not rain, that is not snow, believe it or not. Military aircraft flying through the region, dropping chaff, small bits of aluminum.
But as we look at HAARP, the primary idea is to affect this ionosphere and then affect these magnetic field lines. And ideally, you want to affect those magnetic field lines and the closest place to which they intersect the planet, which happens to be at the poles.
We went from weapons that could target individuals, swords, bows, guns, to weapons that could target groups of individuals, Greek fire, artillery.
Well, we are living in a sea of energy, and if you can impact upon that sea, you impact upon anyone who is interacting with it.
The undersea entrance is about 2,700 feet wide and 630 feet tall. The top of the structure is 1,500 feet below the ocean surface, and the bottom is about 2,300 feet deep.
The old sitting high continents are spreading apart from each other because in the oceans, new rocks are made at mid-oceanic ridge spreading centers.
We came back a year later and it was occupied by the Navy and the Air Force. And we finished doing a tune-up on it and putting in all the transmitting antenna wires.
And that's why the pressures are staying around 6,700 PSI. They are not getting up in that 8,000 to 9,000 range, is because the well is cracked and the sea floor is bleeding.
You're going to get a cut in the clouds. It's going to happen, right? Coming up, bam, like that. See that right there? That is not normal. This is HAARP, H-A-A-R-P activity, in my opinion.
What he did is he took people into a very deep state of hypnosis, and then over 9 to 10 months could program into that individual sort of a second personality or a split personality, where one would have full knowledge of one, sort of the existence of the other, and the other would have no knowledge.
This is visible light mode and the sun is going down. And also these HAARP weather warfare machines, they only work in the daytime. And I'll explain that in a minute.
The Air Force has gotten great value out of HAARP in the past. We took over from the Navy and managed it and actually did a number of experiment campaigns up there and have finished our work that we're interested in doing up there.
Small bits of aluminum, sometimes it's made of plastic or even metallicized paper product. Now, they won't confirm that, but I was in the Marine Corps for many years, and I'll tell you right now, that's what it is.
As you can see, not only is it burning and charring this thing like it's a plastic, but there is not one drop falling from it at all. Not one drop. We can even hold it there. Let's see if I can. And not one drop is falling, even though I'm holding the flame right on it. This, my friends, is manufactured snow. It's almost mixed with a plastic to keep its form of some sort.
Where Alaska sits on a map, very near the poles, the furthest northern territory in the United States, where you could locate a facility on U.S. territory that you could inject energy directly into the magnetic field lines of the Earth.
Weapons that could target whole battlefields, chemical and biological weapons, rather chemical weapons. Then we went to those that could target whole cultures, whole ethnicities, the biological weapons.
And one of the ways that they are doing it is by attacking and manipulating the energy sea field that we interact with, so that it is suppressing our ability to open and expand.
After that, it became a test subject occupied by the Air Force and the Navy. And that's when I started seeing things happen going wrong.
So you could send this new personality into, say, a foreign country. They could act as a spy, and if they got captured, they wouldn't be able to tell you anything. And he actually developed this series of techniques. They were classified by the mid-30s.
What did they say? Oh, you know, oh my gosh, this is immoral. We can't do this? No, they said, how do we change America so that America will be willing to accept us playing with these toys? This is the tail wagging the dog.
For years and years now, I've been ticking off more and more sources of radiation that humans are subjected to. I met an Oxford Don, and she had started to see that what I was talking about now, what I'm talking about now, was real.
Understand, it was devised to be a thermography instrument, and it got taken over by the military. What they found out was it started interfering with the ionosphere.
He went on and published a lot of things in this area. Started to begin to sort of resurface. You didn't hear much about it until around the Korean War, and then after the Korean War, many will remember returning prisoners of war that were exhibiting very bizarre behavior.
And this is an aspect of this, is that we're being fed a world of disinformation on a continuing basis. Does
And when they found that out, it became an experiment. And it's been an experiment for a multitude of weaponry ever since.
Now we're at the point where with the electromagnetic weapons, we can target the whole planet. We can target whole continents. We can target whole hemispheres.
We are going to work very hard on good climate. We're going to work very, very hard on clean air and clean water. Those are all important things, very important things. I believe strongly in clean water and clean air, but I don't believe that what they say, I think it's a big scam for a lot of people to make a lot of money.
The sign out there said it was Weather Modification Inc. I saw a sign out there that said Weather Modification Inc. There it is right there.
We were spraying Sector 2 fairly heavily, as you know, but we're getting to some of the thunderstorms we created because when you drop that much barium, things happen, as you know. We got a leak in the tank and some of the turbulence, and we did the usual containment, nothing out of the ordinary, but...
This diagram is from MIT where you clearly see an aircraft spraying particulates out the back. Now, again, this is mainstream scientific discussion. We have every major science institution talking about these issues right now.
Another example is the array of technologies, often referred to collectively as geoengineering, that potentially could help reverse the warming effects of global climate change. One that has gained my personal attention is stratospheric aerosol injection, or SAI.
These lines in the sky have been created from aircraft. These aren't a natural phenomenon. So we're now seeing black chemtrails because what they're spraying is causing these chemtrails. This is disgraceful. This is an apocalyptic scene.
He is a very experienced former commercial airline pilot with over 10,000 hours experience under his belt.
I became very aware of it, and I looked into the skies, and it was all over the place.
Weather Modification Inc. But that's something right there, and all this weird stuff is for the weather modification. That is right there. There's the chemical tanks right there, and whatever that thing is up there.
Yesterday, when I looked up in the sky, there were just a lot of chemtrails. As I lay out on the grass out there and looked up at the sky, I watched 6 of them roughly fly over within an hour, hour and a half.
Chemtrails, by the way, barium salts are in chemtrails. They are 10,000 times more toxic to your nervous system than lead. They contain mycobacteria, viruses, Pseudomonas florensis bacteria, human plasma. Wonder what human plasma is doing in chemtrails.
I am definitely at the right spot. Let's go see. We got a camera on me right there. There's a big old ball on the top. I don't know what that is. Okay, man.
Hi. This is a 40-page congressional research document, geoengineering governance and technology. Even going back to the 60s, for example, we have 80-page presidential documents outlining the scope and scale of these programs even back that far.
A method of seeding the stratosphere with particles that can help reflect the sun's heat in much the same way that volcanic eruptions do. An SAI program could limit global temperature increases, reducing some risks associated with higher temperatures.
Absolutely disgraceful. This is a completely unnatural sky, and we've just witnessed the blackest chemtrail ever. Look, there's a plane arriving, about to land over at Gatwick.
I had a reunion of Some pilots, we were with 9 pilots, and these were all pilots, all very experienced training captain. And I pointed to the skies and I said, listen guys, you're specialists.
Do you know where Weather Modification Inc. is?
Yeah, you're close.
Are
you meeting somebody?
No, I just kind of want to find out what they do.
Let me, people take care of it.
Thank you.
And this is not by conjecture. I did a lot of research before I'd ever say this, but these chemtrails are nasty. And there's 3 reasons for chemtrails. The first is and I talked to my NSA buddies at Fort Carson, Peterson Air Force Base, and Buckley, where I was actually their doctor taking care of the pilots flying and spraying the chemtrails.
Okay, we are in. Is this their office or?
It's back. Yeah.
Do they just have a pamphlet on what they're?
I'm sorry, what was the? We can visit the website.
I know, I've been at the website.
Our air and our natural resources, we're in very great danger from the pollution that's coming down over us. And we've been led astray by the military-industrial complex, and they're responsible for the cloud's creation and weather manipulation programs.
I received an email of one of these guys. He said, listen, Willem, I didn't see it then when you pointed it out, but since then I'm observing the skies, and now I see it. I'm totally shocked. My whole world fell apart.
I know they say that they're do weather modification. I just kind of like know how they do it.
Can you, what they have aircraft up here, so we'll get that.
And he's one of the pilots who's going to be speaking today.
Looking up at the sky, and that's when I started noticing not natural contrails. There's just something that wasn't natural. Contrails don't stay all day long. Now I'm convinced, there's no doubt about it, there's something going on in the sky that's not natural.
I invited a commercial airline pilot to come speak with all of us interested in the phenomenon known as chemtrails or aerosol geoengineering. I made it clear to all that I believe this phenomenon is indeed taking place in at least 27 countries.
So they do what now?
So they go up, and depending on where they are in the country or the world, they are trying to reduce hailstone sizes and thunderstorms by use of chemicals or whatever.
You were in the 101st Airborne. I mean, your credentials are impeccable.
Everybody's going to deny it. I mean, that's just a natural instinct. We don't believe something like this could happen. And we were doing a food program for the veterans, and I walked in, about 5 or 6 people all said, oh yeah, that's what's happening, and we know all about it and everything. And
so I know it's real. If anybody says it's not real, they're full of it. Okay, because I'm a whistleblower. On the inside, it's not open for discussion. And my NSA buddies told me, 95% of them told me, they were up there trying to spray to reflect the sun out to stop global warming. So most of them are dumb enough to believe that garbage.
And weather manipulation programs, they're dark operations. That's why they're not out in the media.
Commercial pilot, flew for Delta for some time. The trees are in demise more recently now in the last couple of years than I've ever seen them. The heavy chemicals and nanoparticles that are in the air with what some people call chemtrails.
Chemicals or whatever they...
So they do use chemicals in the air to manipulate the weather?
As I understand right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And again, they do it, like, I know they've got a contract where they've actually made it rain in Africa.